Hello people, my name's Sameeul and welcome to TheBeautiful90, the show that dives into all the narratives in English football. I'm joined here today in the studio by my co-host. We got Reece, Liverpool fan, and on his left we got Mr. LDP, our resident Chelsea fan. But guys, you support Chelsea, you support Liverpool, I support Villa, but we're going to start off talking about the biggest game of the weekend, which is Tottenham versus Man City. So first thoughts, what do you guys think of that?
Embarrassing for Man City, to be honest, I reckon.
Yeah. Do you reckon that the title charge is over for Man City?
It's too early to rule them out.
Yeah.
We know what they're like when it comes to March through to May in periods. I'm not saying that's definitely going to be the case this year, but I'm not ruling them out. I've seen it too many times.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Pep even said the other day in an interview that at the moment, as it stands, it's too far of a gap to reach.
Never seen a fall off of this size from Man City. Like, they've been so dominant for the last 7-8 years. I think it's 7 Premier Leagues in the last 8 years, right? Only Liverpool have taken that one trophy off them. So what do you lot think is the reason for that? Because it can't just be Rodri, right? It has to be something deeper than that.
I'm not sure.
Sorry. I was going to say, I think one of the big things, like you said, Rodri changes things dramatically. It'd be like losing Busquets from the Barcelona setup.
Yeah.
It's so pivotal the way the ball moves from defence into him.
He provides that control for the entire team, yeah.
And obviously we've seen it have different setups whether it was John Stones pushing in alongside him to create that double pivot at the back or who else. But I just think in general, they've got no one who's holding that sixth space well. Kovacic is brilliant. Obviously, I'm a former Chelsea fan. I love the guy. I think he's a class all-round technical player. For one, he's injured. For two, he's not a defensively minded player, despite his ability to do that part as well. So I think they are definitely missing that midfield base to build on. But I think the bigger thing is, and this is a rogue claim, and I don't necessarily think this is anyone's fault, but I think the transition from your impact of Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne hasn't been moved forward in the right ways. I think they haven't really been able to get people like Foden into those key areas to make the creative opportunities.
Which is weird because Foden was literally PFA Player of the Year last season. So you'd think that this season he'd just kind of pick up where he left off. Yeah. But he hasn't really done that. Like,
no, he's been slated for the England team as well as Man City. Yeah,
exactly. Like, what was his contributions? Like 19 goals, and he had over 10 assists, I'm sure. And he was a big reason, like if you remember, like the hat-trick against United, he had all these big moments, but he's kind of just fallen off the radar and no one's taken his place. I mean, you've got KDB who has a lot of miles on him by the looks of it, and Bernardo Silva as well. They look like they're a bit past it. Yeah. And the players that they've brought in to kind of fill in that space is just, they're a bit too young.
And Sameeul, like...
Yeah, like, I mean, he's good.
Yeah.
He's good, but it's not like... he's not the same calibre of, say, like a Bernardo Silva or a KDB. And even Haaland as well, he's one person to talk about because...
he's been blanking loads recently.
He's been blanking like crazy. It's paying for FPL managers, isn't it? Like, literally. It's like, what, 2 goals in 7 games, something like that?
Yeah, I've left him captain for like weeks and it's like, nah, it's time to go.
My first set of notes while watching the game within the first 18 minutes was just, maybe it's time to swap out Haaland.
Yeah, I've been thinking that every single day for like the past 2 weeks, but I can't get myself to do it.
Bro, João Pedro's been starting for me.
That's the way to go. There's been good recently, isn't it? Like,
I'm thinking there's something to it, but genuinely I think there's a lot for Pep to figure out. I think he either should have walked away in the summer or the recruitment should have been a stronger kickstart to a new cycle. So it feels like, again, I'm not a manager, I'm not a professional, but it feels like they've half-assedly kicked into the new cycle, and as a result, you've got players who aren't ready and players who are past it, and not really anything in the gap between.
I think like what City need to do is just build a new team, because we've seen 2 City teams. We've seen the first one with like the Aguero, Sane, Sterlings, and then we saw the second iteration which has like, you know, your KDBs, your Haaland, your Rodris. But now I feel like they're kind of past it, especially like KDB being their main player, and he's kind of, I'll be honest, he's past it. Like he needs to go Saudi. Yeah, exactly. And Rodri's out for the rest of the season. Diaz, I think he's just finally come back in, so Pep needs to start thinking of new ideas. But that's the thing with Pep, like, you know, he's always going to have new ideas. Like, he's just a genius, isn't he?
I was going to say, I like when he went like the 2 back and he was pushing Stones into DM. It's like...
Yeah, like, it seemed crazy at first, but...
Yeah, but it worked, didn't it? Yeah.
One of the issues we are slightly seeing as well, off the back of that, is the difficulty of people like Gvardiol pushing into a hybrid system. I think when that was revolutionary last season, I think it was catching teams out. But now Chelsea are doing the same.
100%.
We're doing the same thing with Gusto. Arsenal are doing the same thing with Timber at times on the right flank, pushing into.
And they were doing it with Zinchenko last season.
The same thing, pushing into that 10. So I think teams are more prepared for it as well. So you just you close that space between your back lines, and that isn't as effective.
He just needs to shake it up, like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But enough about City. Like, let's give credit to Tottenham.
I don't want it.
Because
I don't want to do
they
it.
treat that bad with the London teams, yeah?
It just feels wrong. Like, thing is, I have no issue with any player in there. I actually think they have probably the other than the one player who made the comments about Son, which we won't get into. Was it Bentancur, I think it was, who did that?
Yeah.
But I think their team right now is a good balance of a lack of ego, which is impressive to see because everyone works hard for each other and for Ange, but I still don't like it.
But the one thing that I like about Tottenham is that, like, they can get it wrong, like they be Spursy at times, but when they get it right, like they fully get it right.
Like the last few fixtures, like they've beat Aston Villa, and then they lose to Ipswich.
Yeah, like it was
and then the big 4-0 Man City as a whole. It's like, what?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Maddison had an amazing game.
Oh, mate, two goals in 20 minutes.
Two goals straight off the coming back into on his birthday as well.
Yeah.
And
happy birthday, lad.
Yeah. But one player that I really want to talk about is Kulusevski. Because I feel like Postecoglou just like has changed the entire profile of Kulusevski. Before he was like this kind of, not like slow winger, but he wasn't like a dynamic winger. He was more like a technical winger. And what Postecoglou did is just kind of push him into that number 10 role, and he's thriving. Like especially against Villa, like he dismantled us, and he kind of done the same against City. Yeah.
He really can wriggle out some situations where I'm thinking to myself, you have to lose the ball there. And it was so impressive, especially watching that City match, just the way that he would pull out to the right flank and then instantly just pull the entire game with him, create that space. Oh, it's brilliant.
He's similar to, obviously, they're his rivals, but it's kind of similar to Odegaard, where he just has that ability to draw like 2-3 players to him and just change the dynamics of the defence. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And to be fair, I was kind of surprised that he happened to City, and I think it shows that he's like a top level player. Do you think he's going to be there for long, Kulusevski, or do you think this new position kind of
Spurs are too
revitalised?
messy for me to have any faith in them. I think that's one of the biggest things for me when I watch them is they're clearly missing something, and I think whatever it is that they're missing is going to stop them from being consistent. Whether it is a case of Solanke just needs to get more consistency and continue to improve at the trajectory he's going, or whether it's something systemic, I'm not sure, but I don't know. I think we're starting to see the limits to their team, in my opinion. I don't think Postecoglou. I don't think he's going to take them much further than they currently are. I think 7th is about where they'll be.
You think they'll finish 7th this season?
That's my call. My top 4, as much as it frustrates me to say it, I can't call it between Liverpool and City. I know City should be out of the race, but
they just have that history, don't they?
There's something about
there's
something about people like Haaland who will turn it on. De Bruyne, let's say he manages to find some form or whatever towards the end of the season. I'm never ruling them out. So City or Liverpool could be first or second. Call me crazy. Chelsea finished ahead of Arsenal.
Seriously? What do you have to base that on, though?
The fact that we're ahead of them currently. But nah, in all seriousness, I think Arsenal, player for player, aren't better than Chelsea. They've just had longer together than Chelsea.
So that could be a hot take for some people.
Call it a hot take if you want. One day, if you want, I'll do a segment. I'll go player by player and I'll do this analysis. But I just firmly believe that they haven't got a better striker than Chelsea do. Their wingers are as good as Chelsea's, if not necessarily better. I think
as effective, you'd say, like.
Yeah. So I think they're more proven, for sure. But I'm happy with Madueke, Sancho, Neto being our main options. And then if we ever want to play Palmer out wide, he's better than any of Arsenal's wingers offering.
What about the defence, though? Because I feel like there's a big disparity in that.
There is currently.
Yeah.
And again, I'm saying that's based on what they've proven more so than their ability. Because I think I'm saying Levi Colwell's as good as any Arsenal defender. Maybe not in terms
Gabriel and Saliba.
I think he has the potential to be. This is Chelsea. This is some big Chelsea tinted glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think Colwell's justifiably one of England's best centre backs currently.
Yeah, on the ball, 100%. Like, I like the way he carries the ball forward, 100%.
I think he's got some learning to do, but I think he'll learn that this season. I think Fofana's an interesting one. We saw how good he was at Leicester before the leg breaks. I think there's a big question mark as to if he can refine that form. But if he does, there's nothing suggesting Chelsea's partnership can't be solid at the back. Yeah. We are the top scoring team in the league currently. Midfield is only getting better. I think Caicedo is as good as any midfielder in the league. I think he's
up there with Gravenberch as one of the best 6-8 role midfielders.
I got to agree. I think
he's finally showing his worth. Like, do you know what I mean? I
think we're seeing the player that we thought. I still think 100 mil is ridiculous for any player. Obviously,
I think he's 150, wasn't it?
115.
115.
It was absurd.
Yeah, it was absurd. Big price.
But I think he's as good as any midfielder in there. I think Lavia is only getting better and better. He may not be on the Arsenal level currently, but I think Lavia's ceiling is as good as Partey's, if not better. Potentially.
Yeah.
And
who do you say is fourth? So you said.
Yeah, sorry, apologies. I went on a tangent. We might have to cut that whole section out. Our fourth spot. It has to be Arsenal.
Yeah.
I think the top 4, I think that quality gap is still slightly there
Yeah.
between the teams that are falling behind them. And the fact of the matter is, out of those 4 teams, they're the only teams that tend to beat each other this year. So that's my thoughts.
So Reece, what did you say? Liverpool?
Yeah, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. That's the top
Arsenal,
4.
Chelsea,
Unless
yeah.
someone else can sneak
See,
into
I'm
the top.
inclined to agree with that.
I was going to
because-
say, like, maybe Nottingham, maybe
Yeah.
Newcastle, I don't know, someone.
So like, at the start of the season, I maybe would have said Villa in the top 4, but
Oh, mate, nah.
our form recently, like, oh my days.
No chance, no.
I wanted to see it. I did want it.
Well, you wanted to see the downfall?
No. The opposite. The opposite.
There, like, to
So-
keep it, yeah.
Like, I don't support any of the Midlands teams for like affiliation reasons. Dad's a Villa fan, Mum's a Wolves fan. I was like, I want no part to do with it. But I still got a soft spot for Villa, and seeing them do as well as they have been, I was like, yo, this feels good for our city.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you feel it in the city, don't you? Like,
More prestige and more respect is on the city as a result of our teams doing well.
Yeah.
yeah. But moving on. Speaking of Liverpool, the next thing I want to talk about is Liverpool. Reece, as our resident Liverpool fan, how do you feel about the slot coming in and destroying everything?
I think he's doing an unreal job.
Yeah,
You know, we're
yeah.
like top of the league now, top of the Champions League table.
Who would have thought he would have just like picked up with what Klopp has done and just kind of just ran with it?
I was going to say, like, he's done an unreal job. He's got to grips with all the players. He's changed the formation a bit, but
Yeah.
that suits his style of play. We're getting the job done.
But what-
I'll say most of the time, but that match was a bit
Yeah.
debatable, to be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say like over the weekend, do you think maybe obviously you got the 3 points, but do you think maybe the manner of the win was a bit concerning?
Yeah, I just can't believe that we're beefing with like bottom table teams. To be honest with you, like, we should be going in there, and we've got this like demeanour, like, oh yeah, we should get it done. And then first half, we're 1-0 down, and then we've got that last 45 minutes to sort it out when we should be playing like that the whole night. Like, we should be capitalising on that the whole night.
But the thing, so when like a top table team versus a relegation threatened team, like the relegation threatened team has nothing to lose and they're a bit tenacious and they give it their all, and you kind of had that with Southampton.
Yeah.
But luckily Salah came and he saved you.
I
Like,
was going to say, like, he came in clutch, to be honest. But
Yeah.
like I say, I just can't believe that it was like really feisty with them, and there was no need to be. Like, they can't even play it from the back properly.
what would you
like.
say though? Would you say Salah is like the all-time best Premier League right winger of all time?
Oh,
is it
there
fair
is
enough
no
to say
debate,
that now?
mate. There is genuinely no debate.
I mean, he's got some competition.
Dunks on Saka.
He's got some competition all time. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham.
I'm giving left wing for Ronaldo though.
I was saying,
left
Ronaldo
wing,
left wing,
seriously.
yeah.
You wouldn't put maybe Hazard there as a Chelsea fan?
Even as a Chelsea fan, I respect Hazard massively and he's amazing, but Ronaldo, Ballon d'Or, justifiably at 24 for a good reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is, I'd say like Ronaldo, he didn't spend his prime in the Premier League, sorry.
Maybe not, but I think that individual year, 2007, 2008 for Ronaldo is better than anyone.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
he
say,
was a beast, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's the reason I'd say it personally.
Yeah, he did tear up all the record books, yeah. But Liverpool, literally a comeback win like that is
gonna
crucial
say,
to
like,
winning the title, isn't
It
it?
scares me sometimes,
Thank
but
God.
like, I know that we can get the job done.
Yeah.
But that is what they say, isn't it? It's those games like that, the fact that you win those games
Yeah,
rather than going
like,
to
we
draw or
need them,
lose them.
yeah.
No one's going to remember the game, they're going to remember the 3 points at the end of it.
But then it's like we've got Man City next week, and it's like knowing Liverpool like, over the past couple of years, it's like we have had them times where, like, you know, we bottled the league last season, to be honest, where we're losing to Crystal Palace and Everton.
Yeah.
But like now we've got Man City.
And
It's like, are we going to hold a draw to them, or are we going to beat them? It's one of them ones.
The thing is, like, you don't have, even though like people won't remember it because you never won, like you don't have been like elite for the last 4 or 5 years. It's just that you've been competing with Pep City, who is arguably one of the best club teams of all time.
And
like,
it's just more like 1 point.
Trust me, you get 97 points, they get 98. You get 99 points, they get 100. Like, so no one, I don't think, like, looking back on history in retrospect, people aren't going to remember how good the club side was.
It's a damn shame.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Because they're in the shadow of City. So I feel like now with Slot and hopefully with Pep kind of falling off a little bit, you lot can kind of reclaim like what's rightfully yours. Do you know what I mean?
It's just without Klopp this time, and it's like
which is a shame. Because he's so charismatic and he's such a hero. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you want him to kind of have more like accolades to his name, but like, what can you do? New managers all around.
Yeah.
At United as well.
So yeah, that was interesting.
I think if Man U would have beat Ipswich, I would have been like, it's only Ipswich. Like, no one's asked. But do you know what? The lap had an unreal game, to be honest.
Without even getting a goal. Did he get a goal?
No, he didn't. Hutchinson, yeah.
But he caused problems for...
really good, isn't
mega.
it? Is he 21, I want to say?
He's a young
he's
lad,
from the City Academy.
It's all I saw, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's Rory Delap's son.
He is,
Yeah,
So you got some heritage there. Yeah.
But nah.
He's going to surpass his dad, easy. Liam Delap they're just class.
Yeah.
The 21, like, he's already relatively pacey and rangy, which I always like in a striker, especially in the Prem, if you're going to have physicality alongside that.
Yeah.
And he's got a bit of that attitude. Every team needs a guy who's a little bit of a, you know.
Yeah, he kind of doesn't care who he's up against.
Like a shit house kind of thing. Yeah.
I was trying to keep it PG, but but yeah, every team needs your characters like that. And if you're going to be a dressing room character like that at 21, you got a good future.
Yeah,
But yeah, sorry, Man U. Like you're saying, I think if they'd have lost to Ipswich, it would be a story, it'd be a crazy. Thankfully, they looked okay for the first half. Yeah. Obviously, it got gradually worse, which brings in some questions. But I think that's to be expected with a new manager.
I think that's with the personnel that they have on the field. Like, at the end of the day, Amorim hasn't had the time to just get his new players in, and it's kind of working with old players. I mean, I said to you guys when I saw Eriksen and Casemiro in midfield, like maybe 5-6 years ago, that would have been an elite midfield. But like, these guys are past it. Like,
as a double pivot as well.
As a double pivot, they've got no legs. Do you know what I'm saying?
The thing is, I remember watching, obviously this is a bit of a throwback here, but the Kante season, when we went 3-5-2 and we had Matic and Kante in the middle. Yeah. That was the season where Matic started to look leggy despite it being a brilliantly defensive midfielder. Yeah. Purely because he's in a system that exposes if you can't be mobile. Yeah. I think that's what happened in the Ipswich Man U game, where once Man U stopped having full control of being able to push forwards, Ipswich were able to get into the game, not because of quality, just because of tenacity. Yeah.
And just, they had that youth on their side, but I don't think it's not as bad as it looks for United, because once they're ready, I think Ugarte and Manu are just going to slot straight into that system.
That's my expectation.
Yeah, because Manu, like, he's just brilliant, isn't he? And he's been injured, and people kind of forgot that, you know, he can actually provide something to this team.
Different.
Yeah.
Something different to that team.
But I feel like for Manu in that match, it was all or none, I'm saying. Like, in goal,
he's the one who stopped Delap from scoring.
I was going to say, like, not to be like cliche, but he saved them a lot. Like, there's so many unreal saves.
Why can't we just say he's doing his job, though? Like, do you know what I mean?
Him offering a scrap out as well. Like, it's fun. It's mad, like, I hate him, but
he's got big hands as well.
Really saved Manu that match. Unreal saves, I think.
But yeah, I've got no predictions for Man U. Like, anytime a new manager comes in, changes the system, there's a lot of toxicity that was clearly there while I was about to say Ollie, my word. I've forgotten the name, the bald fraud.
Ten Hag. I think the bald fraud works just as well. Yeah.
Like there was clearly so much toxicity building up. I'm not even necessarily saying that he's a bad manager he might go on to do really good things at the next club he joins and so on. But it's clear they needed a change. It's clear they do have talent in there, but it's a bit of a mess. I'm curious to see what they'll do this season.
Yeah, I think Manu left it too long to get rid of him, to be honest. Like, after the cup, he should have gone. Like, I don't know why he signed that extension.
Yeah. But I feel like it's an impossible job for anyone. Like, who can you think of that would just come in and save that United team, apart from Pep Guardiola himself? Like, who would actually come in and completely change it? I feel like the fabric of that team, like the entire club, just needs to be changed. Like, United kind of still think that big dog that they were 20 years ago. No. And they need to kind of realise, like, they've passed it. And they've built so much of their identity on Sir Alex Ferguson that they need to feel like just kind of
move on,
teach that and adopt new values. Yeah. So hopefully they can do that with Amorim. But any person walking into that job, like, the cards are stacked against them. Like, even you saw with like Mourinho when he came into the job, like, he's an all-timer manager. Do you know what I mean? Some people's greatest of all-time manager, and he walked in and the odds were against him. He couldn't do anything, and that kind of started the decline of his career.
We got the Europa League with him all day.
Yeah, and he even said himself what second place was.
It was a huge achievement.
It was a huge achievement.
It really
for him.
was. It really was.
I feel like when he said that, people never took that seriously because they kind of, you know, like trolled on him a little bit. Yeah. But like, I think as you look back on it, you're kind of like, how the heck did he finish second with that United team? Because they didn't really have no one. And hopefully, like, Amorim can change that. I mean,
I was gonna say, you've got to give him a little bit of time, like maybe in the new year. If you can get him up into like top 8, I'd say, like, he's doing an all right job for them.
We need to see who signs in the January transfer window. He needs to.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be really interesting because obviously part of the issue we've had with, I say we, I'm not a part of them, but part of the issue they've had was obviously rotation of their squad. Yeah, I think Ten Hag made some strange signings. And now they've got a squad of a bunch of mismatched people who don't necessarily make a cohesive formation. Like, even looking at their current 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 that they played, they don't really have wing backs, mostly because their full backs can't stay fit anyway. So they haven't really got effective wing backs. Amad Diallo, brilliant player, really high intensity.
Very creative.
Maybe he can turn into a Victor Moses like we had before in that wing back role, but he doesn't feel like the right kind of fit for it. And I think similarly, I don't think they've got the right 10s to be the inside 10s that they need for it. I think they've got a good striker in Højlund or Rashford who could play in that centre and do that. But I think they've got a strange squad profile for what he wants to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he spent like a fortune on all these players, and all he's done is sign them from Ajax.
Yeah, exactly.
He's literally just wanted the players that he wanted, but they were playing in the Dutch leagues, you know what I mean? Like, now they're in the Prem, it's a whole different ball game.
It's a different intensity.
It's not going to work.
One thing as well, I think United just need to completely change their transfer policy. Like, they're so focused on like signing these prospects and like players that aren't proven but are like worth a lot of value because of their potential. I feel like they should just sign like proven like European players to kind of just stabilise the club, like someone who you know can get over 16, 17 goals a season, because no one could do that for them right now.
I was going to say, like, he's not going to bring like Gyökeres over. Exactly.
Like, Gyökeres would be a good signing, or just someone of that calibre, of like a proven calibre, but it's hard
and
to
you're
kind
front
of...
loaded with strikers, then you got so many options. Like Rashford would play there, then you got Højlund there. You got Xerxes.
Yeah, so it's like they've kind of just stacked up these positions, so they've got like a lot of work on their plate. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely do.
But yeah, like all the best to United. Do you know what I mean?
Or all the worst, it makes no difference.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure no one here actually likes United. So. All right, so moving on to another title challenger. Arsenal versus Forest. Going into this game, I wasn't sure how Arsenal were going to do, but 3-0. Pretty definitive, like, statement win.
Yeah,
I think so.
See, unfortunately, this is the game I didn't see very much of, I'll be honest, so I'm going to have to let you guys speak on this more.
Arsenal, they were pretty much playing pass and goal football, just to try and break down.
It was just
one
classic
touch
Arsenal,
pass,
Going into the game, I thought obviously because Forest are a bit of an informed team, even though they did lose against Newcastle the week before, but they are very much informed. So is Chris Wood. I thought maybe there could be a challenge, but
I was going to say, like, he had a few good chances.
It was just like classic Arsenal that I remember from last season, where they're just dismantling teams, and obviously a big part of that was just Odegaard being back in the side. Like, how can one man make such a big difference? Like, when he's gone, like, we were questioning Arsenal, they had 4 losses in a row or whatever it might have been, winless in 5, something like that. Like, are they out of ideas? They only score from set pieces, or if Saka does something. Yeah. But then once Odegaard comes in, he just unlocks everything. Like, I don't think people have actually realised like how good this guy is. Like, it's the little nuances in his game. Like, when he gets the ball, 3-4 players come towards him, and he always finds a way out. Like, you're thinking like, this guy, you can see why he was at Real Madrid. You can see why, like, since the age of 16, he was touted to be like an amazing player. And he is, for me, he's Arsenal's best player. Because without him, they don't have a hope of winning the league. Do you know what I'm saying?
I hear it. I completely hear it. I think it was so impressive, the highlights that I did see. Just the
Party goal.
Oh yeah,
Party goals.
He scores bangers every now and then. Like every 4 months, he just comes and whacks it in, doesn't he?
Yeah, the interplay, the slick passing that you guys are able to pull off is crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
There was one play, I think it might have been the goal. Actually, I think I've got it slightly confused, but either way, I think it was Odegaard occupying the ball over in this and the like,
this side of the box, and he lays it into Saka, and Saka just beats 2 guys and whacks it in.
I just think to myself, like, it requires such chemistry and quality to even attempt that, let alone pull it off.
Yeah, having Odegaard, it allows like the players who like with the star quality to just operate in these little tight areas, and it's like you don't really find players that can offer you like the liberty of doing that. And having Odegaard, even though he might not get the goal, he's getting the assist for that, because he's someone who could comfortably pick it up in like a tight area, one man there, a couple of yards away from him, and he could find ways to lay it off to someone else and hit it in. But I think like now, especially Arsenal, like they're picking it back up again at the perfect time. I
was going to say, it's the first win that they've had since like the start of October or something. That. Like, it doesn't happen to Arsenal. Like, considering the last few years that they've had. But
I think Liverpool are still a bit too far gone. I think looking here, how much points are they clear?
8 points.
No? Yeah, 8 points clear. Like
of them, and then 9 points to us, I believe.
Yeah. So it's like, do you think that it's going to carry on? I think Liverpool's just going to kind of run away with it. I feel like that little drop in form for Arsenal might have really hurt them.
And Man City, like any of the top teams, like if we can just stay in form and keep it going, then that's what's going to happen. But we want to get week 12. We've got ages left yet. I mean, like we've got Christmas to wait and see for.
You never know what can happen, injuries and.
I was going to say, I mean, like Jota, like.
Yeah, I mean, remember last season when Arsenal just lost Saliba out of nowhere? Yeah. And they just fully capitulated. Yeah. Like, you can never account for these things, but Arsenal right now, I can say, they're looking like the old Arsenal again. We kind of lost them for a little bit. a couple of weeks ago.
But they've got nothing to show for it, have they?
Yeah, I know.
You can Cooper going, Arsenal, show mentality of monsters, and then they've got no.
No one remembers second place.
No.
So
they're the
that's
first
the
to
thing.
lose.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the first to lose.
Yeah, the first losers.
Oh, they get his Champions League and then they get knocked out of there as well. Like.
Arsenal is going to be a long time before they win Champions League.
I was
You can't win the Champions League without a proper number 9.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking, like, why don't they just go and sign Isaac from Newcastle? Because I feel like he suits them so well. Like, can't you just see him in an Arsenal shirt?
It does make sense. It feels like it's one of those story narratives kind of things where it's almost like inevitably it has to happen, right? But I don't know.
Have you seen that clip of him speaking like a London accent as well? He sounds like an East London roadman. Like.
To be fair, a lot of Swedish people do have like really varied accents. Anyway, that's a whole other tangent. But yeah, I think it's not going to happen in terms of getting Isak in. How do you prize someone like that away from Newcastle? They can turn around and say
100,
no to the money.
140, like.
And they can say no, thank you, and justifiably. So I do think the lack of a striker is going to be one of the biggest things. I think, obviously, I'm not a hater. I'm not happy with how things fell out with Havertz at the end of the Chelsea run and so on, but he's clearly a really, really high quality, talented attacker. But I don't think he's a pure enough number 9.
Yeah, that's what's not his game.
And there's going to be certain games where, his uniqueness is going to be the difference maker for you to be able to win the games. But there are going to be games where you're going to need just a purely conventional number 9 to handle certain situations. And I don't think you've got that in your squad.
Moving on to the other games of the week, we've got your team, Chelsea. How do you feel about that? You got Enzo Maresca playing against his former team. So, was there any concerns going into it at the beginning?
This game is absolutely a head scratcher because that match could have either finished 5-0 to Chelsea or it could have ended 3-0 to Leicester.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we were definitely better than them for a good 70 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
But that capitulation between 30th minute and 45th minute, we should have been 2 or 3 down in that time.
Yeah.
And then similarly at the end of the second half, we went for another burst where we could have given them 2 penalties, as well as them having other opportunities to score as well. And obviously in any game, there's going to be back and forth moments. There's going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
But we see a few too many of those wobbles in Chelsea games, especially when we are facing squads that we should be properly up for. We should be all 90 minutes. We want to be better than them. We want to have something to prove.
It's a relegation threat inside in Leicester, who haven't been the best this season. I mean, they've got an ageing Jamie Vardy, and for the most part, you lot controlled that game. But it's just, you had these little moments where you kind of were hesitant at the back, and that sort of spiraled, and you found it hard to pick it up again. And to me, I find it like moving forward, if you're going to become like the Chelsea that we all know, the dominant European giants Chelsea, like you need to kind of cut this out of the game. And it starts off with, unfortunately, I think your keeper, Sanchez.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think he's doing a strange job, is the way I can describe it. Because he can fluctuate from being an 8 out of 10 in certain moments to bottoming out and dropping the entire team's confidence.
Yeah.
And like you said, you feel that lack of confidence emanate throughout the rest of the team.
I was going to say, like when Chelsea had Brighton, and then he literally played it out the back and Brighton had the goal in, like even though Chelsea were like 4-2 that match. He's like, what is he doing there? Same with the Leicester game when he just watched the ball go through, and then as soon as that happened, it was like,
It makes everyone like nervy. It makes everyone like lose the composure a little bit. Because obviously, like playing football yourself, like you know when you've got a good keeper in goal, you kind of just don't have to think about it. Do you know what I mean? You can just play the other parts of your game. Whereas in the back of your head, if your keeper's a bit shaky, you're kind of thinking like, what's this guy doing?
Save his ass.
Do you know what I mean?
It makes you anxious, especially when you are playing out the back. You need your keeper to be one of your extra ball carriers.
Exactly.
But when you, as a centre-back, aren't sure if you want to pass the ball back to your keeper, that hesitation, I think Badiashile is one of the worst for it. I don't mean this as a criticism of him as a player, but I think one of the things you'll see is when he looks back, if he's not certain that he wants to make that pass, he double thinks himself, and then in that time, he's getting closed down. He then turns back around, and we've got even more pressure because he's now got back to the rest of the game. The ball is in our space. And all it is just more pressure pushing forward. And that doesn't necessarily come down to the failing of the centre-back. It comes down to them having no trust in being able to play the ball in
trust and composure is definitely a big part of like any backline, obviously goalkeepers included. I mean, Reece, I can even like take it to you in Liverpool. Like, remember the times when you had Mignolet and Karius in goal? Remember how you felt then?
That Champions League final.
And once Alisson came in, do you see how it completely changed like your outlook on playing out from the back? And you had faith in your keeper, so that just gave you like the ability to score more goals. Like weirdly, like football just does things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like having a good goalkeeper affects how you score goals, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, exactly,
Because it is a talent game, don't get me wrong, but it's such a vibes game as well. It so is. And you can fit, I think completely right, like you were saying. I think we need to figure out a defence. We need to get some stability going from there. Obviously, big thing that's holding us back is consistency in terms of availability in defence. Obviously, Chilwell's not been an option anymore, he's not considered, but then at our right back side of things, both Gusto and James have injury issues occasionally. Gusto's been a revelation for sure, he's been great since he came in, but it's too much changing of the right backs. Oftentimes you'll have Disasi, who I think is a disaster at right back. I never want to see him there.
Fitting.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I think he's actually an okay centre-back. I could see him doing quite well at a Crystal Palace level, for example. But I don't think he's a Chelsea level centre-back in general.
He's not a Champions League level centre-back.
He's not a Champions League level centre-back. And he's most definitely barely a Premier League level right back when he plays at right back.
Yeah.
Fofana did a decent job at the weekend, playing in like a hybrid centre-back, right back role, dropping into a back three when we're in rest defence kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's talent in there, but it needs to be figured out, and we need a new goalkeeper. Completely agree.
Yeah, and then you say all that, and then Chelsea spent like 2 million in the last how many years, and then you can't find
it's mental.
like a replacement. You know what I mean?
We're kind of at this weird stage in football where like the kind of old like players are kind of coming out, and we're kind of trying to pick out and see who the new like generation is. I mean, if you look at the likes of like Lamine Yamal, Mbappe, and Bellingham, like these guys, well, maybe not Mbappe, he's been around for a while, but like Bellingham, these guys, like they're like under 20, they're like 21, under 20, so it's just a couple of years and then we'll figure out like who are the top players, because we're in this weird transitional phase where all the good players have gone to like Saudi, they're just getting their money, and all the new players are still like budding, they're still like coming out of the ground. But Chelsea like taking it to the other side of the pitch in strikes.
Nicholas Jackson.
He's proven the haters wrong, isn't he?
I'm so happy for him, because I think it was absurd seeing the amount of hate that the guy was getting as what, at that point, just turned 22, playing as a striker for less than 18 months of his total senior career, having only made his breakthrough to Villarreal literally, 20 months before that? So I think at that point, he'd only been in the senior setups for about 2 or 3 years in total. And then he comes in and in his first season puts up, 17 goals and 6 assists?
That's actually impressive.
And people want to say that's a failure. People want to call that a flop.
Even already, he's got like 10 goals and assists in about 7 games.
Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the lack of composure last season. I think it's a completely valid criticism. He fluffed his lines way too often. But how many people are even getting in those positions?
Exactly. You know, like if I was a centre-back and I was coming up against Jackson for a full 90, I would lose my head, because that guy, he just causes problems and problems and problems.
I was playing FIFA Street. I was literally playing FIFA Street. Like, he could have just got the ball down and just passed it back to the back, and then he was there, he's poaching, and that's why he got the goal. Like,
but Face has a history. To me, Face has a history of just messing up. Like, remember
he scored two. He scored two for us, and we played shocking that day.
To me, he's like a David Luiz regen.
I'm not saying he's a sideshow Bob. He is a sideshow Bob
from Timu.
Yeah, like literally.
Well, I think like Felix was all right on that game as well. Was really for Chelsea.
You know, one thing that I've problem with Felix,
trying to, like that play, like Harry Kane kind of, like he's dropping back into the midfield. He dropped back. He played the ball for it. He had some good attempts himself. I was surprised he didn't get a goal.
You know, one problem with Felix is like he's a centre forward, but he loves a slide tackle, and it's not even calculated slide tackles. He's just diving in. Like, remember, I think it was on his debut. He got a red card for doing the exact same thing.
Against Fulham. You know what? I just think I think whenever he plays, he's just got a little Diego Simeone just sat on his shoulder, like, bro.
Exactly. You got Diego Simeone on both shoulders by the look of it. Like, he just dives in every single time.
Bro, but you know what though? I think the thing for Felix, and I don't know how long he'll be in the Chelsea's team. I don't know if this is his forever club or whatever, because he's clearly good. But I think the issue he's got is Palmer just operates in such similar spaces that I don't know how we'll do it unless we want to drop wingers and favour having those two as our... I don't know what the setup is that includes them both. But I love his passion. I think he's clearly talented, and he just tries so hard while having a level of arrogance. I'm here for it.
Finishing off with the last game, Villa versus Palace.
Mate, I don't even know what to say about Villa, to be honest.
It's quite a fall from grace since last season.
Penalty miss as well.
Penalty miss, yeah.
Tielemans.
I remember I was seeing something on like the social media and stuff. People were talking about new rules they want to bring into the game. Like, if you could bring one rule into football, what would you do? And a popular one was like, whoever wins the penalty should take the penalty. Now, first of all, I think that's the dumbest.
I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it.
In a game of football where
you need the goal,
where goals are like you can win by 1 or 2 goals, a penalty is crucial. And I think people kind of undermine how hard it is to take penalties in front
especially
of,
against Martinez.
Yeah, exactly. Against like 70,000-80,000 fans, and you have to like hit it right. Like, I can only speak from my experience because I'm not great at penalties, yeah. Like, I couldn't imagine taking a penalty to 50, 60,000 people. Do you know what I mean? I'd fluff my lines. That's why you need like a guaranteed penalty taker. And I don't know why Villa let Tielemans take it instead of Watkins, who is usually our normal penalty taker. So obviously he missed a penalty, which ended up costing us 3 points.
Yeah. But I mean, speaking of Watkins, he got a goal, first goal in 6 matches.
Yeah, fine.
It is a question, isn't it? I think Watkins is class, clearly class. It's just, I don't know what it is right this season for you guys right now in terms of, obviously I know there's a lot of games, a lot of schedule, a lot of fixtures in your schedule and so on, so you are obviously being spread thinner.
Yeah.
But what do you think it is that's holding you back right now?
I think it's, people have kind of found us out because we kind of play that, you know, the high line, counter-attacking football, play Watkins in behind and score from set pieces sort of thing. And for me, like, I've been crying out for like an honest to God, like elite number 10. So for me, like, I don't think we have that, kind of like how Arsenal have Odegaard, like how I was saying before. You just need someone to come in and just to create stuff in the final third, because people like know once Watkins is running, he just wants to get in behind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? And people have figured that out. That's why he's been so ineffective. And the only reason we've been scoring is because of Duran. People are not used to him. Do you know? People are not used to him, but he's still young. Like, I think he just turned 20. He's the same age as like Kobe Mainoo. I don't, like, people are saying, oh, why does Duran not start? Why does Duran not start? Like, as a Villa fan, watching them week in, week out, he's not ready to start.
I was going to say, like, he's young, ain't he?
He can't give a full 90.
I think he benefits massively from the work that Watkins does, where Watkins tends to stretch the defence, like you said, tires them out, makes them answer certain questions for a good 60, 70 minutes. Then John Duran comes in and asks entirely different things of the defence.
Yeah, exactly. He's got
that.
like that X factor.
Yeah. He's good.
He'll just
whack it.
He'll whack it from the halfway line. Do you know what I mean?
I think he's been like another good signing.
He's been amazing.
Well.
He was a great signing.
He's been our set piece threat. Like,
I think he's been such an impressive signing. The way he's settled in has been so impressive.
No. People had this impression of him at Everton where he's kind of just like this big brute in midfield. Obviously,
there's a lot to his game.
He's like 6'5" and he's massive, but he's technically sound. Like, especially next to Tielemans. When at the start of the season, obviously he never played last week. I think he's injured. So when he's next to Tielemans, obviously they're Belgian as well. They've got the international like chemistry. Like, they tick and they bounce off each other really well. And Tielemans, like, so far he's been our best player this season, like on the ball, like technically and everything. But I think like Villa's main problems is we're just out of ideas. Like, Bailey's not banging goals.
I was going to say, once you mention out of ideas, Bailey unfortunately just hasn't been at the levels he was last season. Like, you can see it in his confidence. You can see it in his body language and his demeanour that he just doesn't back himself the way he did last season. Yeah,
he's a confidence player and he needs everything to kind of go his way for him to be banging. And his game is like, it's very one-dimensional. He just likes to get it cut it back and wrap pass it. Yeah, like a bit like a Robin. Obviously he's not a Robin, but like, you know, he just likes to cut in and just try to wrap it, and people know that now, so they can't do anything about it. And
not having anyone else that can naturally do that on the other flank, I think, is a bit of an issue for you. Like, obviously, I know Diaby didn't work out, unfortunately.
To be fair, Diaby, I think he was quite good.
He was, for about 8 months, 9 months, he was really good.
I think over the course of the whole season, I think he gave enough as far as like a first season goes. I think he justified, like, he's done enough. But obviously, when that Saudi check comes calling, like, you just gotta be silly to turn down like 200 million or something crazy like that. So obviously, it's sad to lose him, and we just never replaced him. I mean, we've got Morgan Rogers.
He's very good,
but he's too raw.
I was literally going to say, I think somewhere between what we were saying there, where I'm thinking he's very good, he's all right. I think it's literally that. I think his trajectory could put him at very good, but right now he is very raw.
Yeah, I mean,
another one of those random Man City just regens where they just keep on pumping out these.
He's got like players. It's going to sound crazy, but like, let me land. Like, he's got shades of Yaya Toure in terms of he picks up the ball and he's so like fast and big and like he drives past the person. The only problem is he's just his end product. Yeah. And he's had so much chances where like it looks like a decent chance, but he just fluffs his lines or he hits it out wide, or he just, you know, like just hits straight at the keeper. But he's one of them players that, even though he's not clinical, he's still got that goal scoring potential just by way of finding himself in these positions. And I think if he gets more game time and under like the right coaches, he will be a top
like, you're flying, but so obviously we like Villa and all that. Like, they're a team that has had like a good success in the last couple of years, like Newcastle have done, like Brighton have done, where they've got into Europe. But it's like maintaining that, and I feel like under Emery, like, you should be able to. I mean, like, he's got that.
He's got the caliber.
accolades,
Yeah, exactly.
And like, you coming out there and then you're beating Bayern. Like, even though it was like a lucky goal, like, you're still beating Bayern. You're still beating the big teams. You was at the top of the table.
We were on top for like what, like a week or two?
A couple of weeks, yeah. But then, like, since then, you've dropped off mega.
Since I haven't reached a high since then, you know, like.
You're losing to Brighton. Like,
Yeah.
You should be ideally beating Brighton.
Yeah, exactly.
Falling off Megan, I don't know
Yeah, we got battered by Spurs.
Yeah.
Just unfavourable results here and there. But obviously, with this like the winter like schedule that we have, where it's Boxing Day and there's loads of games, double game week, stuff like that, and then January transfer window. Hopefully, this kind of allows Emery to shake it up a little bit and just change it a bit, because it's a bit stagnant right now. It's a bit stagnant right now, and it's not looking good as a Villa fan. Like, in all honesty, I wasn't looking forward to watching the game. Not like, obviously I wanted to watch the players play and I support my team, but like I knew the kind of vein of form we were in, it was gonna be a slow game where we don't have ideas, and it was exactly that. Yeah. So I just kind of.
You are the Champions League, but is that going to be the last time for another 20 or 40 years?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
it could happen. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, Villa's got they've got massive ambitions. I mean, they're doing a stadium rebuild. Obviously, they're bringing in Emery. They're doing like a brand they're changing up their brand and everything. So obviously, they're trying to like change their image, because they've kind of seen as like this mid-table, maybe gets relegated sometimes team. And yeah, I think they're trying to get back to their glory days. I mean, they are the biggest team in the Midlands, so do you know what I mean? Like, some fans might not think that, but they are historically. Thanks, guys. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today on this week's episode of The Beautiful 90. Hopefully, you see us more on YouTube, especially if you like and subscribe. Anyway, from us, that's goodbye.